Greg, you're up.
Wonderful. First off, I just love the opportunity to talk to a group and share ideas. I think one of the things I love about this sector is we're all trying to help each other and ensure that the waters in the harbor are lifted and all our boats float. So thank you. I really hope that there's at least one good idea that everyone can take away and implement right away. I think if there's one thing that you can take from this and do, that's a win for everybody. And I just want to talk about our approach to virtual food drives. And when you take the wrapper off, virtual food drive is nothing more than peer-to-peer fundraising with a few bells and whistles attached to it. We live around these 5 key concepts: make it easy, make it fast, provide service, make it friction and barrier free, and make it rewarding to everyone involved, especially the participants. One important point is that especially with the donors, these are not your typical organizational donors. These are people giving because someone else asked them to give. And I believe they are less tolerant of friction or barriers to the donation process. If they're running into challenges, there's a greater likelihood that they're going to abandon the donation process. So it's always important to make your donation forms friction-free, but even more so with peer-to-peer. And I was looking at, coincidentally, some donation forms just the other day, and donation form even had a login and registration for a donor, believe it or not. And I would expect that on that donation form, they're probably seeing 90% abandonment. The donors to your organization, your best loyal donors, are even going to climb a barbed wire fence to donate because they're loyal, but don't expect that of peer-to-peer donors. Another point about the participants, we have a lot of corporate virtual food drives, corporate fundraisers, and I know that even in that situation, some of the people that are setting up the pages and organizing the fundraiser are not necessarily there because they want to. They are either voluntold or it comes with their job. And that's why we try to provide personal service to make sure that person has all the support that they need. They likely have a pile of work that they otherwise have to do, and we want to make sure this is an easy process for them. When we were talking earlier, Central Texas experience was almost a mirror of what we have done. We have made an intentional shift away from traditional food drives because, yes, there's a ton of time, a ton of cost in it, not only for development staff, but it involves operations staff, drivers, and a little known fact is that for us at least, about 40% of the food that comes in through traditional food collection and food drives has to be disposed of because it's either in broken packaging, it's expired, it's poor quality, or it's just food that you wouldn't even want to prepare and share with your own family. Some of it is, that special regifted item that sits in the cupboard for several years. In fact, we had a wall of shame a while ago, and sitting on that was, I think, a 10-pound gummy bear that someone thought would be a good treat for someone. And when it comes to money, we have significant purchasing power. We can turn that on average into $2 of quality food purchased, and in some cases far beyond that. And we have much greater control over what food we distribute to people. We have control over the quality. We ensure that we're buying fresh fruits and vegetables, and we provide a balanced, nutritious diet to clients. And that just cannot be achieved through food coming in through food drives. And that photo is just a photo of a typical distribution to a client. In fact, that's a photo from a couple of weeks ago, and we can't achieve that through food drives. So yes, it's an intentional shift away, a strategic direction. You can see the blue bar is This is all revenue. That is a revenue received through food drives over 3 years. The red bar is the revenue that we have received through the virtual food drive, and the green bar is what we've seen through all our peer-to-peer activities, which include some other things like an event we have around Thanksgiving called the Real Thanksgiving, which is a fundraiser through the film and television industry, a competition, and something that we just kicked off this spring called the Mayor's Food Challenge, which is a competition across the municipalities that we serve, which raised $500,000 in its first year. So you can see the value of moving people from traditional food drives to virtual food drives. Lots more revenue to be had, and even though food is not shown here, you saw on the earlier slide that even if we are bringing in food, a lot of it has to go out. And I would see at best probably bringing in food through food drives. If you look at all the costs, hard costs, soft costs, and the opportunity cost, it's probably a break-even proposition at best. And we do market it. So all of the points I made earlier, we try to communicate to people. And yes, we do, as we saw earlier, a bit of a triage process. If people call to ask about a food drive, we do try to cross-sell them to a virtual food drive. And we have collateral that explains that. And almost in all cases, once people understand why we're asking them to do a virtual food drive, they comply. They understand the value to us, and ultimately they find it's a lot easier on them also. We have a bit of a hybrid approach to the platform. We do use TeamRaiser, Blackbaud TeamRaiser, but we also use a proprietary platform called Momentum that's developed by a local developer here. And they talk to each other through an API, not to get too technical, but basically that's a programming interface that allows two applications to communicate to each other. And when we went into this development, we had some very specific requirements. We wanted it to be fast, easy to set up. We didn't want to capture extraneous information that we don't have anything to do with. We wanted it smooth and lean. We wanted the pages to be easily branded and tailored. And we wanted a donation form that not only was engaging, but also kind of supported our mission in terms of demonstrating the quality of food that we purchase, and make it a bit interactive and dynamic and share some fun facts with people. And we aren't in a position to share that platform live with you, but I think Brooke is going to send out the link, and I really encourage people to visit the link, check out a participant page, and go to the donation form and have a look at it. I think you'd be very excited with it. Here's a couple of screenshots, and you can just see an example of a mouse rollover where we're providing you with some interesting facts about cherries as a component of a good diet. And here are some examples of some of the pages that participants have set up. And I just love these. People put a little bit of time into them. And I think a really important part of this is that if you have put some time and energy into setting up a page, you're going to be proud of it, and you're going to be much more willing to drive traffic to it, not only once, but over and over again, to ensure that all your networks, all your social circles, and your fellow employees and colleagues are going to want to visit that page. I think it's a key measure for success. And here's a couple more. I love these. And the one on the right actually has an embedded video in it. This is a page that typically this group used to do a haunted house at Halloween, and as a result of the pandemic, they put their event online and invited all the people that they typically invite to their open house to the page to support the food bank. Probably the one thing that I would think is the most important key to success is building real personal relationships with the participants, and we choose to use personal contact versus autoresponders. As much as possible, every participant that sets up a fundraising page gets a welcome call or email. We want to provide a sincere thank you to them, to know that we appreciate what they're doing, and to offer help. And we want to read the situation, and by that I mean listen or try to understand where they're coming from, or what their challenges may be. Did they volunteer to do this? Have they been told to do this? What's their technical understanding? Are they already running into challenges? Do they understand how to promote their page and get the link out to their employee base? And if we do understand there's challenges, or assess that there are some problems, we'll just jump in and offer to completely set up that page ourselves, and encourage them to just share that link out, rather than visiting the participant center to use the email tools to send emails out. And in fact, I think that's been the case more often than not, that people are inclined to just send the direct link out through their company email or personal email, as opposed to going into the participant center and using the tools there. And it works. And when it's personal, when you understand there's someone on the other end of this, you are more likely to be able to reach out and communicate without anxiety. So right from the beginning, we try to establish that relationship where there's, and Mike used the words, trust and understanding, and I think that's really important. If you are in a position where you feel that you can just put it aside, abandon it, or walk away, you are much less likely to do that if you understand there's a person on the other end who is there to help you and expecting you to be successful. And it creates buy-in, excitement, and competition, and it significantly reduces the number of zero-value pages. In the administration center in Momentum, there's a great little graph that shows the breakdown of how much various pages have raised, and it focuses heavily on zero value pages. And when I last looked, we were down at 4% of all pages were at zero. And when we do see pages at zero value, we do chase up on people, and at the risk of being a pest, we do remind them that they have set up a page, and they did that with some intent, and we're here to help, and we hope that they will continue in the process of trying to raise funds to support the food bank. One issue that we do see is that very often goals are too low, especially for people new to peer-to-peer or new to the virtual food drive. Goals are often well below what is possible. I've seen law firms setting up pages with a goal of $500. That's a bit ridiculous. So we do contact them and explain that they're likely to raise a lot more than that. And if they don't want to budge on that, we do keep in contact with them and try to get them to edge up their goal as they approach their goal. And certainly if they surpass it, to keep on going, go the extra mile, add another little bit to your goal, because you can reach it. A lot of incremental revenue can come in because of doing that. And we do try to provide closure to the participants. There's too many peer-to-peer sites where I see that pages are left hanging or left open for months and months and months, if not years, after the event has wrapped up. And we want to, within that personal wrap-up, we want to provide a thank you and acknowledgement to the participant. We want to connect them to the overall success of the event. Even if they raised a small amount, they need to understand that every dollar counts. And we want to connect them back to the mission of the food bank, because ultimately we do want to bring them in the next year, or if not them, someone else in their organization, to perpetuate the involvement in a virtual food drive. And further to that, we try and get acknowledgement out to the CEO or the leadership of that organization to thank them, because if not for them, that activity would probably not be happening on company time. And we want to kind of secure and protect our place in that organization as an organization that they support. Our results last year, overall, about $1.2 million raised through the virtual food drive, 435 participant pages with an average of about $2,700 per page. And I just wanted to reflect a little bit on our pandemic fundraising. We had this in place, and it was the one thing that people could do outside of supporting us directly. But for organizations that wanted to do something, or individuals that wanted to do some collective fundraising with friends or family, they were drawn to the virtual food drive. It was the safe and socially distanced option, and I think it actually, during the pandemic, offered people a place to go to get together to act collectively on something that they knew to be a really important cause, and could see their neighbors suffering. So this provided that vehicle for them during that period from March through June. Virtual food drives raised over $600,000. The goals were $600,000. It was surpassed by $60,000 relative to the same period last year of about $32,000 in revenue. And we have repurposed this to a couple of other things. As I mentioned earlier, film industry fundraiser, Mayor's Challenge across our cities we support, and a few other things. We're going to keep doing that because it is working. And in summary, if you want to do one thing, do everything you can to remove all barriers for registration and the donation process. Create personal contact with all participants, encourage people to personalize their pages, offer assistance at every step, push those goals, and ensure you close the loop and steward your participants towards participation next year. Thank you.